live. Yes. Welcome to yet another edition of PCS Q&A. I am your host, MJ Boyce, the Director of Community Outreach here at PCS Grades. Boom. I am so very excited to have NMFA, the National Military Family Association, on with us yet again. Second time's a charm. Can't wait for the third one, but I've got Riley Duttweiler here. I am super excited, but before I get to her and let her tell you a little bit about herself, I'm going to go through those housekeeping items like I do every week. Ready, set, here we go. All right, folks, we've got the answers. And if we don't have those answers, guess what? We know who does. And if we don't know either of those things, we're going to take your questions for action and get back to you with an answer. Speaking of questions, comments, concerns, suggestions, shout outs, go ahead and leave those in the comment section below. So not only you're engaging with your fellow MilFams, but you are also entered to win a Camp in a Box courtesy of NMFA. Yes, Camp in a Box, which was born out of COVID thanks to their Operation Purple programs, will be given away to one lucky winner at the end of this. So make sure those questions, comments, concerns, shout outs. Oh, by the way, LOL smiley faces are totally encouraged and highly recommended, but don't count as an entry to win. Go ahead and leave those in the comments for a chance to win. The more you engage, the more you comment, the more chances you've got. Next up, we bring the experts to you. Experts like U.S. Transportation Command, experts like military spouse employment advocates, or the International Association of Movers, or even our friends here at NMFA. We bring them to you because they're the source, and you can ask your questions in real time. However, sometimes you're going to run into a scenario that is specific to you and your military family. And in those instances, your two forever and always resources will be, number one, your local chain of command. Number two, your local transportation office. Those are the people who know you. Those are the people who are dealing with your stuff. Those are the people who could take your issues and further them for action. Of course, you always have PCS Grades at the helm. We've got area guides so that you can research your move. We have reviews on on-base housing, off-base housing, movers, schools, and more. And the best part is they are reviews that are left by military and veteran families just like us. I trust what you have to say because you lived my life. We're like the Angie's List of PCSing, so head on over, but not yet because this webinar is off the chain. Last and certainly not least, and I modify this every week because it changes every week. Keep doing your part, people. We gotta keep doing our part. We've got to flatten this curve. This Delta variant is out of control. So wherever you are, listen to the restrictions and the mandates. Wear your mask, social distance. If you can, get vaccinated. Either way, we got to do our part to flatten that curve, because when we flatten that curve, we're going to flatten Murphy with it. Do you hear us, Murphy? We are coming for you. And with that, I'm going to hand it over to Raleigh to tell us a little bit about herself. Raleigh?
I have never been that quiet for 3 whole minutes before. I don't even know what to do with it, MJ. I am so thrilled to be here, guys. I am Raleigh Duttweiler, and I am the Director of Outreach at the National Military Family Association. You might know us as NMFA. And at NMFA, we support military families, and we do that through advocacy, through camps and retreats for military families, and we offer scholarships for military spouses. So we do a lot, and you probably know us in a lot of different ways. A lot of people know us for Operation Purple. So those are those camps we offer. They're awesome. Free week of summer camp for military kids, virtual programming, retreats for families, and our scholarship program. But I am so excited to be here, not to give you my full NMFA spiel, but to talk to you about the work that we have been doing with PCS Grades as part of our Neighbor in the Know campaign, because we also PCS, like as military families, we PCS so many times. And we knew that we needed more support through our PCSs, which is why we reached out to our awesome friends at PCS Grades to start this conversation. MJ, where'd you go? You're here. Okay, good. Don't leave me hanging. I do this in conversation. We're going to make faces at each other.
We're going to make faces because mute. Because it wouldn't be a Wednesday if I wasn't muting. Just saying. Oh my gosh. Well, welcome, Raleigh. So just for the record, everyone, Raleigh and I have been around the Milspouse way for a while, and we've worked together in several different capacities. And I'm super excited, Raleigh, to have you here because you're just like the total guru. And I'm super excited about this thing that we've launched together.
I am too. I'm super excited. I want a PCS just so I can use our Neighbor in the Know program. That's how I feel. And I will tell you, in my last PCS, MJ, in the last PCS we made, every single table we owned, every single one, lost at least one leg. There was not a single table that you could stand upright at the end of the move. I feel like I needed our Neighbor in the Know at the end of that move because I was just sitting there looking at this, like all of the tables upside down on the ground in Florida, wondering what possibly happened between North Carolina and Florida to cause every leg to break. Like, how does that happen?
I'll tell you. One name. You know who I'm talking about. He who shall not be named.
He shall not be named. I have my mask ready. If Murphy's coming, he's at least getting my mask.
There you go. There you go. Okay. So you already told us a little bit about NMFA, but I'd like to dive just a little bit deeper so that our audience has a better understanding of how awesome the National Military Family Association is. So just briefly, can you tell us, like, how long has NMFA been around? What's the mission? And are your services and resources free?
Our services and resources free. Okay, so I will give you the full spiel of NMFA, and I will do that in my Director of Outreach capacity. But first, I'm going to be annoying, and I'm going to tell you about NMFA as a family member too. So I came to NMFA 3 years ago, but NMFA had already been around for a long time. NMFA is the leading voice for military families on the Hill, and we've been that for 50 some odd years, because 50 years ago, a group of military spouses gathered around a kitchen table and said, enough is enough. Our friends are dealing with all of the loss with Vietnam. Our widowed friends need more support. This can't happen anymore. Like, we got to figure out a better solution. I don't know about you, MJ. I mean, I do know about you, actually. I know that if something happened like that with you, you'd sit around a table with all your favorite military spouse friends and be like, okay, guys, what's the plan? Like, we need a plan. So this group of military spouses, they did just that. And they took that concern and those conversations and that commitment to their community from the kitchen table straight to the halls of Congress. And they walked through Congress and they knocked on doors and they made change happen. And NMFA was born. Now, that's like an amazing legacy. And to try to live up to that every day at work is, honestly, it feels impossible. But it's something that we do every single day. And in that 50-year time period, a lot has happened to military families. I know that we've been dealing with a lot, particularly in the last month at NMFA and inside our own home and at our own kitchen tables as we process what's been happening in Afghanistan, the toll of 2 decades of war, and the op tempo that didn't seem to stop and has stayed with us still, and all the effects that we continue to deal with. And 9/11 didn't just change military families. It wasn't just this whole thing that affected us. It changed the way that we needed support, and it changed the resources that we need. And a lot of what NMFA has done in the last 20 years is stand up all these programs that add to that advocacy that we were born with, right? Like, that's how we started. But we stood up programs to support things, because when you're advocating for policy change, when you're walking and knocking on the doors in Congress, like, that is not a flip the switch and then the change happens. That is a process. But while that process happens, I have needs. You have needs. Like, MJ, I know you have needs. Everybody watching this, like, our needs are real and they're immediate. And that's where those program solutions come in. So while we are busy advocating for you, we will also do our level best to come up with the programs you need to support you where you are. And that's how we started our Operation Purple Camp programming, because military kids totally needed a break. They needed to be able to pull back from the stressors of military life, get to just be kids, get to hang out at camp. I love camp. Who doesn't love camp? And that's also why we then created those retreats for military families, because actually the parents needed support too. I am a parent. I need support too. I need community too. And our spouse scholarship program has similar roots, right? Like, we saw the need. Military spouses, it's a 2-income society these days. Like, you probably need to make money. Like, you need to make ends meet. You have career goals. You have education goals. You have, like, things you want to do with your life. Well, we want to support you. And that needs to be bigger than just like, and here is a bill for your tuition. We shall give you something to cover your tuition. Because what if your dream is like to start this amazing business that's going to go like huge? And I think about all of the people that MJ, that we met a decade and a half ago, at like the Military Spouse Fest and all of those spouse summits that military.com used to hold. And all of these entrepreneurs that we met, like all of these military spouses with these big ideas getting it done. NMFA is here to support you. Our scholarship program, it's not just for tuition. We're here to help you with startup costs, licensing fees. Bessa, our amazing executive director, is saying hi in the comments. Everybody say hi, Bessa. And we're here for that. So we stood up all of these programs in that time period since then, and we continue to do so because military families' needs continue to change. And so in the last year, one of the things that we've done is we've heard you say that childcare is impossibly expensive. You can't get the support you need for your kids. You can't get the care you need. The childcare center is closed. They're taking half the kids. The bills are crazy and out the window. I pay my childcare fees and go like this and like breathe. But at least I have that spot, right? Like I know how lucky I am. We are here to make sure that you have the support you need. We have a childcare fee relief program. You can find more information about it on our website. That's what we're here. Like we are here to support you in all the ways. You tell us your problems. We will do our best to help make them better. That's NMFA. Oh, but I told you I was going to tell you my personal story. So MJ, when I met you, I was pregnant, like forever pregnant. I was pregnant with my daughter, Sibby, who's this awesome little girl. And Sibby is now 6. But when Sibby was born early. And she was born with a lot of medical problems. And Sibby was born fully deaf and allergic to like absolutely everything. And Sibby needed this like ridiculous elemental formula that you couldn't get. Like I pulled everything out of my diet. I was eating sweet potatoes and like rice cakes. And she was still like having an anaphylactic reaction to it. It was terrible. And I couldn't get TRICARE to cover it. Like I did all the things. It was in the formulary. I had the letter. Like we had all the things. And there's a process and it takes time. But like I have this kid and she needs to eat like right now. And the next feeding is going to be in 30 minutes. And this can of elemental formula, it's about this big, is like $50 a can. And I only have like this much money in my savings account until all of a sudden I had like this much money in my savings account while we waited for approvals. In the meantime, my good friends, military spouses, told me to call NMFA. And I didn't. Here's the thing. I didn't. I was too busy and I had a screaming baby. I had a toddler and my husband was leaving. He was going to training. Like I couldn't do this. I don't have the ability to help. I just need TRICARE to pay for this thing, right? So they called NMFA for me. And what do you think happened? NMFA stepped in and it was maybe 48 hours later that I had all of the formula I needed sitting on my front step. I didn't have to drain my bank account any further. I didn't have to go ask to borrow money from my parents. NMFA stepped in. They made sure that they could see we had all the things ready. I just needed help kind of getting through and making it all work and saying the things that I needed to say to the right people. That's what NMFA does. So there's my personal story. Like I care about NMFA because NMFA showed up for me. So you can always call us because I will show up for you the same way that they showed up for me.
And that is one heck of a testimony. I was just going to say, okay, well, that's all we got, folks, because she just dropped the mic. I'm just saying, like, how do you, wow. And
that's what we do. Neighbor in the Know is the same thing because what we do is we show up for each other. NMFA's motto is together we're stronger. And I think we could be like super corporate and like I could give you a whole spiel and wear a tie and like be professional, or I could just straight up tell you like MJ has been here for me in hard times and has like, there was one, we were talking about this before we got started, but we went to this gala together and like for work purposes. And several times during the course of this gala, people kept saying to me, oh, are you pregnant? I was not pregnant. I kept saying, no, I've just had 3 babies and I'm fat. Please stop saying this to me. I'm falling apart. And she's just like there supporting me. And that's what I needed. Like, that's what I totally needed. And MJ is there for you when you need her. Every military spouse I know is always there. Like together we are stronger. And that's where this Neighbor in the Know thing comes together because we each have this awesome thing we bring to the table, but it's even better when we do it together.
Yes. Okay. So speaking of which, since we're talking about joining forces, you know, this one team, one fight aspect.
Yeah.
Let's talk Neighbor in the Know. Okay. Tell our audience about Neighbor in the Know and why it's important that NMFA, you know, launch this resource with PCS grades. And we're going to take a peek in a minute.
We're going to take a peek. And I feel like the web content is so awesome. So I'm so excited that we get to share that. But I think that at the heart of it is this, like, we understand what it's like to go through the move. PCS grades, this is an amazing thing, right? Like they have all the resources you need to navigate your move, to make sure that you're getting into the right neighborhood, to like talk about the place where you lived. When I moved the first time with the military, we moved from the Upper West Side of New York City to Camp Lejeune. It was like such an adjustment. And I remember looking at the map and being like, I don't know where to live. Like, how do I choose a neighborhood? This thing has alligators. Like, what is even happening here? And if I had known what the neighborhood was like, I would have been able to find the right place right away instead of getting there and being like, oh, so we should have lived over there. Like, I see what we should have done. I did not do that. So I want everybody out there to be able to know how awesome this resource is. And like, having lived pre-PCS grades, how amazing and life-changing and game-changing it is that it's here. And so I think that, like, one, we know that there's this need and you guys solve this need. And then what NMFA does is, like, we come at it with advocacy. You tell us your housing isn't good enough and that you're like struggling with housing. You're struggling to find a place to live. You're struggling getting your landlord to pay attention to you. We're here to help. You get your kid into school, but like the 504 isn't being honored or the IEP is being rejected, even though you know that theoretically you're supposed to get this like 60 days or something to make sure that you get all of the logistics in place, but your kid is supposed to be cared for in the meantime. What's happening? We're here for you for that. You get the kid in school, you've got the awesome house, and now you need a new job. We're here for you for that too. And so it's just like the melding of the two things. PCS grades will get you to your next place. They'll get you settled. They'll help you navigate all the things. When you get there, that's where we're here. So it's the neighbor in the know. PCS grades brings their knowledge. We bring ours. And together we are here for you to make sure that as you go through that PCS move, that you have everything you need every step of the way.
Word. I couldn't have said that better myself. So glad you said that. We're gonna give a peek.
Oh, that's cool.
Give a peek. And as I share my screen, the lovely Teresa over here on the back end here at PCS Grades is going to share the link to this amazing neighbor in the know. So Raleigh, let's walk through this amazing resource.
Awesome. Let's go to the, can we scroll up? Awesome. Okay. So if you are on the NMFA website, which is militaryfamily.org, and you are like, where is this thing? I don't have the link. I lost it. Click on that info and resources, and you will get down to relocation and PCS. That's what this is. There's no way you can lose it. I could title it Neighbor in the Know, but our awesome marketing people were like, no. We need to title it like people are like needing help with their relocation, with their PCS. They'll come to this. So here you go. You're here. And now you have your Neighbor in the Know. Let's scroll down and take a look. First, I think there's an awesome video. This is an awesome video. This is Shannon, and she is our senior content manager, and she is introducing the whole Neighbor in the Know thing. We don't have to play the video now, but come back and watch it because she makes awesome videos. And it's just a great way to get started. And then as you look at this thing, and I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to open it on my computer too, because my eyes are apparently not that good. I'm turning 40 and I'm like losing my vision. Okay. So as we scroll down, you see this area research. This is really where we have the opportunity to highlight all the awesome work that PCS Grades already does. And I really love being able to lean on an organization like PCS Grades, who has crowdsourced all this information and made sure that you have everything you need to get started. And that's where the area guides come in. These are PCS Grades one-of-a-kind reference guide. That's the trusted reviews and the PCS checklist. Have you made the mistake of PCSing without a checklist? I have made the mistake of PCSing.
Score several times over.
Yeah, so don't do that again, right? Now you know, and if somebody had just told me it's a checklist situation, Raleigh, I feel like I would have been better off. So now you know it's a checklist situation. Make sure you do your checklist. It will save you so much anxiety later on. I also want to talk about stickers for a second, because I just peeled several stickers off the bottom of my desk before this call started. And I thought I'd gotten all of them, but clearly had not. Okay, so let's see. If we keep going down below our stickers, so the area research area is where you're going to really see all this awesome content from PCS Grades living on the NMFA website, because you're going to be able to get all of this in one place, right? Always go back to the PCS Grades website whenever you can. They have so much more than we can possibly fit here, but this is the stuff that we want to share as part of our Neighbor in the Know promotion. But look, below that, you have advice from military spouses. First PCS move, worried about the how to navigate all of the things. I actually really found some of these helpful, and the 8 fresh ways to stay organized in your PCS. There are never enough ways to stay organized in your PCS. I got great ideas in the course of this for how I could PCS more. Also, I am not a minimalist, which is why I had all of these tables break, but after that table breaking. I'm a table minimalist now. Okay, so if we go through that, then you'll see the housing options. And this is where you can kind of think through where you're going to be. Hey, MJ, I actually don't know this about you, and I probably should. Do you prefer to live on base or off base? Like, what's your preference?
So it's interesting because until we moved here, I never had a preference. We always lived on base. So picture this. Get orders here to Quantico. Every other duty station, we've always lived on base, whether it was because of the schools or we lived in Hawaii and couldn't afford to live off base. But here we're like, okay, we're going to try living off base for the first time. Can you imagine paying your electric bill for the very first time at 35 years old? Write it down. It happened because this girl right here. Like, so I would say if I were to give a preference, it depends on the duty station or the area.
That's really smart. So we've like only exclusively lived off base, and I really don't. The first was that the wait list was crazy long, and we like got off the wait list right before anyway, but we've always lived off base. I have come to expect it. I actually have no idea how to like think through anything else. Well, guess what? If you are like me and you have like exclusively always been like, I think I'm just going to live off base, or you're like MJ and you're like, I'm going to live on base, then here are the ways to think through all of those other options. Also, we can come back to this, but we should talk about living off base right now in today's market, because I know it's a thing that everybody is wondering about, and I too have thoughts. And our GR team has heard from you a whole lot, and I want to make sure that we share what they're hearing. But then below that, this is this moving with kids section. This is where you're going to start getting into the synergy of like what we bring to the table together. You've got all this awesome PCS grades content. You have navigated your move. You've filled out your checklist. You've become a moving minimalist. You have fresh ideas that we can talk about next PCS season for how to PCS even better. I love it. Now you got to get your kids into school. I have 3 kids in the public schools, and navigating the start of the school, like, and school year forms and all of the things, it's chaos. And it's extra chaotic when you're navigating deployments, when you're doing it as like a single parent, when you're new to the town, when your kids aren't in the schools, when you have 504s and IEPs. We have all of these things, and it makes it so difficult. Well, we're here to help. NMFA has been working for years on this thing called the education revolution. And what we want to do is empower you to be your own best advocate in the school systems. You get your kid in, guess what? You're going to be the one talking to the principal. You're going to be the one talking to the superintendent. And we know that there's nobody who's going to fight for your kid like you will. So guess what? We have put all the information you need to do that, all of it, into an awesome guide. Our Education Revolution Advocacy Toolkit is everything you need to make sure that you can go speak up for your kid. And I'm going to do this thing I do, where I tell you it's really important that you speak up for your kid. It is so important, because when you speak up for your military kid, you're speaking up for every military kid that comes after yours. Every single kid will benefit from you taking that big courageous step and saying the bold thing of being like, no, this is what my kid needs, and you need to listen to me. So like, yay, all parents doing the thing. Okay, Education Revolution. Let's scroll down a little bit more. Okay. This is pretty exciting. So now, like, we talk about the move and all of the ways to do the moves, all the ways to get settled in. I know that I'm thinking about school before we like finalize that place. This is where we then are like executing the move itself. We have collaborated on some really phenomenal information here. I have you done the do-it-yourself move? It was Diddy Move the last time I did it. Have you guys, like, we've always just let them pack us and move us.
We did a partial Diddy, and I wouldn't consider it a partial Diddy. We did weigh like our car, because we drove from South Carolina to here. But the main thing, the one thing that I was most concerned about bringing with me, aside from like my Pop's coin collection, was my Keurig, and I strapped it in with a seatbelt in my back seat. Yes, I did. Nice. So, and that counts, because we did have other stuff. We could weigh our car, but for the most part, I typically like to have the military move for us, do all of the logistical aspects, although our families, as we're hearing right now, at least as of this last PCS season, didn't always have that choice.
Oh, man.
I couldn't imagine, like, if we have a choice, like, yeah, I'll let the military move here. No, I prefer to move my own stuff. Thank you. I like having that choice, and it's great, but I would always hands down prefer someone else to move me, because I'm a Murphy attractor, and I don't want my stuff broke.
I also am a Murphy attractor, thus the table situation. Also, funny story, in our last move, we got hit by a hurricane. Like, Mid-move. It was not there when we started the move. It was somehow there mid-move. Did our trucks somehow, although I ensured they were parked inside, did those trucks get wet? Like, how did these things happen? So I also like default to letting somebody else move me, because otherwise it's going to be the water from the hurricane and the broken tables in my car. And I just don't know that I could like navigate my way through that. It'll be calm at dinner time. So here's all the details on the move. And I really have to hand it to the awesome content creators on both sides, because I am not a content creator. I used to be in a previous life, but I am not. All of this was put together by people who did so much research to make sure that it is absolutely like the number one thing you need to know, all of the high level stuff, and then you can dig into the details whenever you need it. And I think that that's a really good way to approach it, so that you can like get the thing you need, and then you can be confident that it is like the most up-to-date thing there is. So that's, I think that's pretty much, let me have your video, your awesome video. If anybody hasn't watched this, you should. It's an awesome video.
Yes, and just for the record, a military spouse is the one that created this for us. Tessa Robinson, shout out. She created this for us, did the little drawing and the narrating, and it's pretty awesome. Yes.
Way to go. You know that like so Tessa Robinson's, that picture of her kids is everywhere. Joyce Razor, our former executive director, had Tessa Robinson's kids on her Twitter profile. Fun fact for you, friends. That's a fun fact today.
Highly noted. If anybody's on military spouse Jeopardy, write that down.
That's right. Actually, we should totally do that one day. It'd be super fun. Could we do like a military squares Jeopardy?
It's happening. It's happening. I'm writing it down because it's happening.
I feel like if we just start calling people out Amy Boo shots, it could be really fun.
Okay, so yes, this video is awesome. And of course, we go over that pre-move counseling, that settling in, the start to finish is what I really like, because just like a deployment, your PCS isn't over once you step foot in your new digs.
No, it's really not. It takes so long to get settled. And I know, at least in our experience, at the very minute that I got settled, like that's how I knew that next PCS was about to start. I officially had people I knew as the emergency contact on school forms. I remembered the names of my neighbors because, like, I said hi to them more than 3 times. All of those things in place, found the pediatrician, made sure that TRICARE was doing all of the things. And you'll find TRICARE's links and a bunch of other links in that other resources area. They're probably ones you have at your fingertips already, but just in case, they're here, they're good, they're helpful, use them. But it's right when you get comfortable that it's time to start planning for your next move.
And when that happens, guess what? Come plan your move here.
Yeah, we're your neighbor in the know. We're happy. And like, maybe it's neighbors in the know, because we're all here trying to make it happen. And I have loved so much all of the content that PCS Grades puts out through PCS season in particular, because I feel so alone in so many experiences of military life. Like, I think it's just a thing that happens to all of us in pandemic, and like the 3rd school year of pandemic certainly doesn't help. But when you see that everybody else and like the far cries of the world, like everybody is having the same problem, then you can really feel kind of community in it. And there's a lot to be said for that. Like, you can do hard things when we do them together.
Absolutely. So everyone, wait till the webinar is over. We did drop the link. And if you just go to militaryfamily.org, having any trouble find it, again, bam, the location in PCS. All right, let me stop sharing right quick. Wow. And I mean, like, I really love that, because like you said, like, where was this,
where was this? Yeah.
10 years ago. Like, I mean, do you know much less stress could have occurred, or how many ways we could have, done things in advance to have circumvented the Murphy?
Yes. Like, I did go through this whole phase where I didn't just completely unpack. Like, things just were sort of stayed packed just in case. So there's that. Don't do that. I don't recommend that.
No. And you don't do that. And here's why, because if you don't unpack all of your stuff, you're not going to know if something's broken. And if you go 3 moves and you end up finding a box that you hadn't opened in 3 moves and something's broken, how are you going to know which move it was broken in? And you can't hold anybody accountable. I will say with absolute certainty, I had that one box that literally was just opened a few months ago.
Yeah, so did I. It's definitely broken. There was a broken lamp. I went to find the lamp, and it's no longer a lamp. Oh my God. The lamp that was. Rest in peace.
Rest in peace. Okay, so and you talked about it. You talked a little bit about hearing from military families about, especially with this crazy housing market recently. So what have you been hearing from Mill fans regarding this particular PCS?
Okay, so this is where I like come in with the bad news. I can't solve the housing market. I deeply, deeply wish I could solve the housing market problem, but that is like not within the powers of my magic wand. However, we know that everybody's dealing with it. And that's the thing. Like everybody has been talking about the high price of housing, the rising cost of housing. Like it's awesome as a seller's market. The problem with military families and a seller's market is that while you might be selling one home, you're going to have to buy it. Like that, you're going to have to find a way to live someplace else. And we never bought. We didn't buy until our last move. But like from a renter's perspective, everybody is feeling that cost and everybody is really struggling. And I know that we've heard it from families coming directly to NMFA. We've heard it from the teens we work with at Bloom, empowering the military teen. If you have military teen kids, by the way, I'm going to plug Bloom. Make sure that you get your kids engaged with Bloom. It's an awesome collective of teens working together to kind of help connect through that military life, making sure they're there for each other. They put out awesome content on their website, on Instagram. Like they're phenomenal. But anyway, like even the kids from Bloom are talking about how hard it is to find housing. And you know, when we're hearing it from the kids, that problem has gotten next level. And that's where like the only things that I can say, not a realtor, the only things that I can say are get ahead of it if you can. Make sure you do as much research as possible. Use our neighbor in the know. Use trusted resources from PCS Grades, all of those reviews. Like this is where those area guides and reviews are so critical. Because if you're going to be making like last minute decisions and you're like freaking out about the real estate market, I am so glad I'm not trying to buy a house right now. Then you need to make sure you have all that information ready to go. And it's even harder when you're doing it from location A and you're trying to get to location B. So it's tough. Like we know it's tough. It's super tough. I have no magic. I mean, I do have a magic wand that my child made me. I have a magic wand, but it's not the situation.
Not yet. But I did hear that there's some movement on a potential temporary, like mid-cycle change to our certain locations with BAH. So TBD on that.
Yeah, well, TBD. That's like
that seems like that should be the hashtag for all military. You know, you got the hurry up and wait, and then your hashtag TBD.
Can we not like Murphy's Law this? Let's just let it ride for a little while. Like, let's let good things come at us.
Let it. All right, let's talk some legislative priorities because that's the thing. We have to prioritize, and you guys deal a lot with legislation when it comes to helping our community out. Knowing, you know, like what to prioritize in terms of, you know, what needs to go first, what needs to change first. So NMFA's legislative priorities, they include issues like childcare, like EFMP, like healthcare, education. So what is PCSing? Like how does PCSing impact each of those legislative priorities that you're currently advocating for?
That's a really great question. It's a really great question. And the answer is that like all aspects of military life really do influence all parts of that. And I think that right now the thing to focus on is that we are looking at the National Defense Authorization Act. I have weird feedback. Do you have weird feedback?
I don't.
Okay, well, as long as you don't, we're good. But so right now it's NDAA season, and the NDAA is this big omnibus defense bill that basically funds every aspect of our military lives. And that like PCSing works its way through every aspect of your military life, right? Like I know that I feel it in my pocketbook when we move because I spend more money than I thought we were going to spend on the move. Like it's never what I thought it was. I always have to build in like that balloon budget for the move. We know that it is affecting you when you get there, finding the childcare that you need, getting into the schools you need. Like your PCS stays with you in all of these ways, finding the house that you need. If you are being over budget for house, it's going to bring down all of those other, like you are not going to have the room in your budget to do anything else. And here's where we can help, right? Like we continue to do all the things in the NDAA and our stated policy issues. So the things we're working on right now are in the comments. Thank you, Luke, for dropping those in the comments. He's our awesome social person. Thank you, Luke. But like, I'm going to get back to one thing that's super, super important, but I do want to talk about like in the course of the PCS affecting all of the things. The NDAA is sort of this bill that like encompasses all of the things. You know what it is. It's the thing we're waiting on. They're working on it right now. There's a House version. There's a Senate version. They're going to work those out. We're going to sing the I'm Just a Bill song. I sing it to remind myself where we are in the process all the time. But while the PCS continues to have that economic toll on your military family, there are a couple of things we can do. And we've talked about how we do the advocacy and we do the programming in between because the advocacy takes a while. I can't give you immediate legislative solutions. It's not going to happen today, but right now we can help you. If you go to the militaryfamily.org website, you will find links to our child care fee relief program, to our scholarship program. I cannot help you bring down the cost of your PCS right now, but I can help you offset those other expenses that are rising as well. And that's where I really encourage you. NMFA is doing its level best to come here with solutions. When you have a problem, we will do what we can to solve it. We know childcare costs are rising. We are doing our best to help with that. We know that you're struggling to pay for your tuition, struggling to get that business off the ground that is going to be your second income, struggling to pay for that license and certification because you've just PCS'd, and the compact is not like working where you are. You're going to have to get relicensed. There's going to be like $3,000 out the window just to go back to work. That's a lot of money. It shouldn't be like that. We are here to help. So use those resources. I want to go back to the NDAA though. So right now in the NDAA, we are focused on one really big thing. And I am like not the legislative person. So forgive me if we're going to say this very carefully. Military families, many military families are going hungry. We are not going to sit here to debate the why, because I don't want to debate the why. What I want to talk about though is the how to fix it. And the solution that we have come up with, that we've been advocating for a very long time, is the basic needs allowance. And the basic needs allowance right now is in both the House and the Senate version of the NDAA. We really like that House version. We hope we can move forward with that House version. It is the one we want. We think it could make a huge difference in the lives of military families who are struggling. So that is like, when we talk about the legislation we're working on, that's the thing that wearing my outreach hat, so my PR hat, like that is the thing that I'm like, oh, let's go. We need this. So, and yes, Charmaine Perry Nights, it is a great Schoolhouse Rock episode. It is so awesome. I miss Schoolhouse Rock. Sorry, I can't help but respond to the comment.
No, you have to. I mean,
conversation.
By the way, Charmaine is an author of military children's books. You have to, I'm so going to hook you up with this and she was actually a guest on a past webinar. And she a military kid herself, by the way.
Charmaine. So over here at NMFA with our Operation Purple programming, we also run a virtual camp. I would like to talk to you about coming to do story time in our virtual camp next summer. So let's reconnect. You can
I'm going to just do a warm handoff for you guys. So stand by, Charmaine.
Well, okay. That didn't really answer your question, because I don't have the best answer for your question, but I tried to kind of answer your question and then tell you about the thing that I think that everybody needs to know about. Does that help at all? Do you need me to? Yay! Oh, yay. Yay, Charmaine. Sorry.
No, it does. It does, because let's just face it. Every moving piece of military life does impact the other. Okay. Whether that's, I'm PCSing. Yeah, I got to find a new doctor. If I have a kid who has, and just like you, who has specific special needs, that's going to take so much legwork, and it's going to be a lot harder. So yes, the PCSing does impact that. Obviously, it impacts my employment aspects, and has several times over. I like to reframe it. No, I wasn't out of work. There's no gap in my resume. I took a sabbatical.
I like that. I really like that. And that's how, I feel like that's all that creative solution. So when MJ and I met, I was writing at military.com, and I don't know if I was yet doing their social or if I was still just doing writing about spouse employment, but it was really awesome. I got to interview all of these military spouses with varied careers, and it is all about how you frame it. How you put that time on your resume is so key. So I'm plugging your good sabbatical idea. I like that.
All about the reframe.
It is.
No, it does impact, PCSing does impact many, many things, but I am of the firm belief, again, with the reframe, PCSing doesn't have to be a 4-letter word. It doesn't have to mean pretty crappy situation. It can mean party coming soon. It could mean, personal change in story. You know what I mean? It's all in how it's framed. I could do this all day, y'all, all day. And if you have any positive acronyms that you want to throw there in the comments section, bring it on, because Lord knows we could use a little bit of positivity when it comes to the PCS.
I'm trying I can't come up with one on the fly. That was really good.
I'm telling you, man, there's a ton of, this is one of the superpowers of having ADHD, by the way, is you just firing off all the time, all cylinders. So we went over all of that. We went over what's free, went over the advocacy, and you got the system advocacy all the way at the top. That's what NMFA is. They're our voice, but we also have our own voices. And just like this, we're our kids' biggest advocates. We are also each other's biggest advocates, because the one resource that they can never cut out of the budget, out of the DoD, is one another. Write it down. Can't happen. Not happening. Okay.
That's the together we're stronger thing. Like, that is the thing that's like, we are here because we all are better when we are in it together. You get, like, it's not just a cliche. It's the actual truth.
Absolutely. And by the way, everyone, we've got all of the information and all of the links and resources over at NMFA has been dropped by the lovely Luke. Thank you. Shout out Luke for dropping all of those. And of course, I'm going to hook you up with Charmaine. Very nice. And so we're going to be giving away this camp in a box. But what I'd really like to do, and we do this every now and again, is because we have a pretty big OCONUS following. And I always feel bad because, like, they're kind of missing out because they're, like, sleeping right now for the most part. And we're cool, but I don't think we're that cool that they'd want to lose a little bit of shut-eye. So I would like to actually open this up to those on the replay within the 24-hour mark. And I want to open it up to our OCONUS families because they too, I mean, they can't always come through Operation Purple to the physical camps if they're OCONUS. And I'd really like to give them an opportunity to win as well.
I love to do that. In fact, wild idea. Let's do two. Let's do two. Let's do 2 boxes. Can we do 2 boxes? Can we do that?
We can do that.
Okay, I can totally do that. Also, I want to say, while our OCONUS families might not be able to attend camp in person, that does not preclude you from all the fun of camp. And I say that because in my summer life, I get to not be the director of outreach. I like my job very much, but we do like public relations and all this grown-up stuff. And I talk about the NDAA, but by summer, I get to be Camp Counselor Raleigh. And some of you had kids who knew me as Camp Counselor Raleigh all summer with Camp Bird. I promised Camp Counselor Hannah that I would bring Camp Bird with me when I talked about camp, but we have a virtual camp. And this is like, we talked about it earlier. It really is the thing that we stood up in pandemic because in 2020, my goodness, we all literally were just like, what can we do? And so we held this big virtual camp on Facebook. It was for families. But in 2021, we didn't just do this crazy virtual camp on Facebook. No, we built a legit camp and we made it a virtual camp. And it was I'm going to talk. Is it okay if I spend like 2 minutes talking about the camp?
No, girl. Yes. This is what we want. Yeah.
This is the thing this year that I am so excited about. It's been so awesome. I think maybe just because I got to hang out with your kids all day long, it was like super awesome. And I had the best time. But our camp in a box so virtual camp is 2 things. It is number 1, a camp in a box, and 2, virtual camp programming. And we're going to give away, I have props. We're going to give away a camp in a box, which is like, this big full of stuff. It has this awesome hat. It has this awesome backpack. This turns into a full-size backpack, and then it like folds up all neat. Take this on your next PCS because you're going to get halfway across the country and need another bag because suddenly you're using those like drugstore bags to hold stuff. I'm going to wear this hat for a few more minutes while we talk about camp. There's a tent that your kids can set up. And this is like not a thing that your kid is going to say, Mom, I hate this. I can't do it. It's awesome. They're able to set it up by themselves. My 6-year-old was able to successfully set it up. We had teenagers working with younger siblings. We had teens making them complicated tents. You're going to learn how to do mirror signaling. You're going to do so much fun stuff. There are resource cards every day. There's like 5 days of camp in a box programming that you would get in this camp in a box that keep you busy. There's so much fun stuff in here. This is a telescoping campfire roaster, perfect for s'mores. Also perfect for jabbing your little sister if you are named Hunter Duttweiler and live in this house. I know you, Hunter. But so we're going to send you this awesome camp in a box. It has 5 full days of activities. It has really cool things. You're going to get to visit a national park every day. There's like a whole write-up on the national park. And then I'll tell you what, I'll have to figure out how to do this, but I can figure out how to make some of the virtual programming still happen for the kids who get the camp in a box. I can't do all of it, but I can do some awesome stuff. So then, right, there's this camp in a box. And we did 3 weeks of camp this summer. Next year, it might just be 1 camp, but we did 3 weeks this summer. We'll see. We'll get there. We'll figure out what we're doing. And then from 8:30 to 5:30 every day. And you can do it based on your time zone. We had full camp programming. We went to the planetarium. We took a science class, but science can be boring and school can be boring. I personally love school because I'm a total geek, but not everybody feels that way. But we know that you at home are kind of worried about the summer slide. We know you kind of want your kid to stay on top of things. We know you want your kid learning if they're going to be stuck on the computer for a little while. So we taught kids all about science. We taught them about invasive species, fungi, insects, mammals, dogs, like all sorts of stuff. And we did it through Pokemon. Okay. I too was like, what? Okay, so Pokemon are all based on like real life things. So we had a science teacher come teach us about Pokemon. Sneaky, we actually taught your kids all about fungus and invasive species and plants and mammals and like how we order like the scientific kingdom, all of this crazy stuff. We brought in illustrators to help us do art class. We brought in National Geographic published photographer, professional photographer, military spouse scholarship winner, or Renewed, to come do a photo class for us. We went on nature walks. We sent you out into the world. We got you like making cool paper bats so you could learn about bats. We did a nature club every day with the Arlington Outdoor Lab. We did a stream study. And also, fun thing that you can do with your kids. Yes, the geek is way too excited. It was so fun. So here's a fun thing that you can do with your kids wherever you are. If you are moving and you want to get to know your new area and you're like, you've got kids, you got to go outside. I got to unpack. Here's the thing your kids can go do to explore and learn more about their new environment. Did you know that crawdads, like whatever you call them, wherever you are, there's so many different names. I learned so many different names for these creatures from your kids this summer. Those creatures, crawdads, only exist in clean waters. And they exist all over North America. In fact, they actually exist in a lot of different climes. So we like looked at where our kids were stationed and like successfully, they could be found in local waters and ponds and streams, like a local river, like a lake, wherever you are, find some water and go look for them. And you can use it as this teaching moment where you can go look for this creature. What kid doesn't like to go look for creatures in water, like splashing in mud and all of the things. And if you find them, you can know it's a clean water source. Super cool. So we did like all of this awesome stuff. And then also we had cabin club every day where we did silly games, made fun of the camp counselors, had a great time, drew things, like we had so much fun, had dance parties. And then we also did this like Lego Masters operation build every day. If you can't tell, it was by far the most fun I have had at work ever. And I can't wait to come back next summer with even more better content. And Charmaine totally doing a story time for us for our younger campers. So,
oh my gosh.
We're going to send you the box thing though. Like I can't read you camp, but if you are the winner of a box, you and I will start emailing and then we'll figure out like what the content is that your kids would still like. And I'll figure out what I can do to provide it. I'm a big believer in making military kids happy. I have 3 of them. I say yes far too often. I will say yes to your kids as much as I possibly can.
Yes, and she can say yes, and so that, I mean, you don't have to feel guilty, and she doesn't have to feel guilty because she's just facilitating. She's just facilitating fun.
That's right. And that's like the whole thing of like camp. This is where the like in-person camp is amazing. I love summer camp. I am like grooming my girls to like love summer camp as much as I do. We sing the songs, they wear the shirts. We're like getting there. But virtual camp has been a blessing. We had a kid who joined us all summer long who was literally PCSing in his car. And so he would sign on from the back seat with his like cookie tray of Legos, his silly hat for Wacky Hat Day. He showed up. Like we had kids moving. We had kids who were home with like, I have a kid who's type 1 and asthmatic. He was not going to in-person summer camp this year. He was going to stay home and like wear his mask outside. He got to come to virtual camp. And we had a lot of kids like that who just like, it wasn't the right season. We had a little girl who had very severe asthma and her mom was just like, I can't take this risk right now. And then we had other kids who just like didn't want to go to sleepaway camp, or maybe it didn't work with their field hockey schedule or their soccer schedule. Well, they should still get to hang out with other military kids and have this awesome time and learn how to explore the environment and build their curiosity and have like crazy fun with Counselor Hannah and Counselor Raleigh and Cabin Club. So that's what we do. Like we were here to try to build connection and make sure that these kids had an awesome week. It didn't have to be in person. That connection could still work virtually. Yay camp.
Yay camp. I actually kind of miss it. I really do. I miss camp.
Why don't you come to one of our cabin clubs? We'll make you play quick draw with us. We'll blindfold you and make you draw an elephant without looking at it. It's fun. It'll be so much.
I am down. I am down. You heard it here, people. I am down. Okay. Cool. So we are gonna wait for that 24-hour mark, but not 1, but 2 people will receive these campers. And I mean, hi, Raleigh, Counselor Raleigh, Camp Counselor Raleigh. Yeah, right. I want to be her friend. I want to be her friend. Yes. Okay. So for those of you who've tuned in, share this away, especially if you know a military kid yourself or a military family, especially with everything that we've talked about. The neighbor in the know is a labor of love for our military community to decrease your stress for the PCS. Okay. And we instead of doing separate things, we pooled our resources together for you. So it's less confusing, just for the record. I always love that. And yes, Angela, please do. Angela, shout out. I definitely need to check that out for my kids. We are currently getting ready to P to the C to the S.
It's awesome. We're here for you. We'll be your neighbor in the know. Camp.
Word. Okay, so thank you so much, Raleigh, for coming on with us today. Thank you so much, the National Military Family Association, everybody who's watching. You know who you are. Shout out to all of you. If you have any questions or you want to get in touch with Raleigh, go ahead and hit us up at the PCS Grades Facebook page or at NMFA, and we will be in touch. Charmaine Perry Knights, I'm going to hook you guys up with an email so that you can continue to spread the love to our military kids. Next week, we actually have Lizanne Lightfoot, her book will have launched one day before our webinar. She has a new book coming out called Open Win, which are letters of encouragement for military spouses, and it is deployment specific. By the way, my Air Force spouse of a daughter decided, her husband decided to go play in the dirt with his friends. No, just kidding. Needs the military. He's currently deployed, and she autographed a copy just for her, which I think is awesome. So shout out Lizanne. We're going to have her on next week. But until next week, everyone, this too shall PCS.